And now it's my pleasure to introduce our panelist for today's broadcast, Khalid Sadour. Khalid is a Senior Tax Director at Radius and helps companies with their overseas expansion. Khalid has over 20 years' experience in international tax, cross-border structuring, and transfer pricing. He has worked in practice with a number of global accountancy firms as well as a leading tax function within the industry, and has been closely involved with the ongoing work by the OECD on tax base erosion and profit shifting report. Khalid spent over 5 years in the Middle East assisting sovereign wealth funds with their international tax structures, and has a considerable experience in both Africa and the Indian subcontinent. More recently, Khalid has assisted a number of multinationals on their tax strategy and policy, as well as overall tax governance in the face of ever-increasing public scrutiny over company tax affairs. Over to you, Khalid.
Thanks. So, welcome everyone. I hope this is going to be an informative webinar. What I wanted to cover is looking at expanding into the UAE, into United Arab Emirates, and in particular looking into Dubai, because that generally is the most common and favored jurisdiction in the UAE. So I wanted to look into Dubai and kind of deal with some of the common questions that are generally asked about when expanding into that particular emirate. But I also wanted to kind of look at what actually happens in practice, so kind of give a flavor of the kind of common business structures and what other companies kind of set up when they do go to Dubai, and then kind of the options that are available. So hopefully the webinar will give you a flavor of what's currently being done in the country and what potentially could be done from an expansion perspective. Okay, let's get cracking with this then. Next. So just to start off with, just wanted to kind of give you an overview of the UAE itself. Now, a lot of people may associate the UAE as synonymous with Dubai, but Dubai is actually just one of 7 emirates, and the country itself is a federation of 7 different emirates, with Abu Dhabi as the capital. So I think that's important, because a lot of times when I have discussions with companies and CEOs and CFOs looking to expand into the Middle East, the discussion always starts with, well, where should I set up in Dubai? And I always try and kind of pull back from that and say, well, you know, there are other places in the UAE that you may wish to look at in terms of expansion into, and Abu Dhabi with it being the capital and the possession of a huge amount of wealth is clearly another option if you're going to the UAE. So I think that's a good place to start in terms of not forgetting that there are other emirates within the UAE. In terms of the country itself, there are some particular peculiar characteristics of Dubai. One of them there is the fact that the population is about 8 million, but 85% of those people are actually expatriates. So that means only 15% are actually local UAE nationals. So it's actually a strange kind of culture and a place to work and live, because you know the actual locals are actually the minority, and that's something I think takes a lot of people by surprise when they go over there and visit and start businesses. The official language is Arabic, but unlike a lot of the other countries in the Middle East, it is a very highly developed economy, mainly on the back of Abu Dhabi and the fact that Abu Dhabi and then the UAE in total possesses the 5th world's largest oil reserves, and that money, the oil money, is still flowing through, and as oil stays high, there is still a lot of petrodollars in the country, and clearly leads to expansion opportunities in the country and in Dubai in particular. Okay, next. So we thought we'd kind of have some interesting facts around the UAE. So on the back of what I've just said in terms of the population and the oil reserves, I thought this was an interesting fact in terms of growth. So over the course of from 2000 to 2012, the UAE averaged a growth rate of 4.62%, peaking in 2006 at 9.8%. Clearly, there was a dip during the kind of the recession in 2008 and 2009. But I think that gives an indication of the robustness of the economy and how it's growing from strength to strength. And importantly, the UAE is diversifying from oil to other areas. So in Dubai, there's a huge, obviously, there's a huge tourism industry. There's a huge focus on imports and exports using the Jebel Ali port there, and clearly transportation with Emirates Airlines, which is global now in terms of the places and the destinations they fly to, makes the UAE a really diversified economy, and given its place and location in the world, that can only continue. Okay, next. So what do we want to do in terms of the thrust of this presentation is look at the kind of common questions that I get asked when companies are looking to expand, but also what businesses ask in terms of what kind of things should we be thinking about. So clearly entity, and what kind of entity do we want if we decide that we want to invest some resources into the Middle East, and what does that look like from a local perspective? Location is key, and it goes hand in hand with entity, and is again a big decision factor that needs to be made. This big decision that needs to be made in terms of where you locate. As I said, it doesn't necessarily always have to be Dubai. It can actually be one of the other Emirates, and that may be something that needs some thought and some consideration. Once you've got your entity, then, well, you know, who are you going to have to staff it? So, you know, what issues do you have in terms of employees, and are you going to bring expatriate employees across from your home jurisdiction? Are you going to hire local employees? Are you going to hire local UAE nationals or expatriates? What are the visa requirements? These are all the kind of the issues that you need to think of from a logistical perspective when you enter into the country. And finally, the compliance requirements. Whilst the Middle East is still considered, Middle East and Dubai and the UAE is still considered an emerging market and an emerging economy, there are a number of compliance requirements and local compliance requirements, and you know, you need to make sure that you don't fall foul of not meeting those particular requirements when you set up a business and operations there.